Antarctica is encircled by paranoid oceans and ice. Loads of ice. Both are obvious thinking about that the mainland is the most far off and the most uncomprehended on Earth. It is essentially difficult to live there without particular stuff, structures, and backing from people on a more reasonable landmass. This has made Antarctica the ideal contender for paranoid notions going from outsiders to UFOs, secret government bases, and surprisingly some odd pyramids. In 2016, the web went wild after 3 pyramids were found in Antarctica. The pyramids estimated more than 1,220 meters, 4,000 feet, tall, making them around multiple times the tallness of the popular Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. This was unusual as there is no record that any antiquated human advancement existed in Antarctica. Also, such gigantic development would have required incredible assets and labor to complete. Nevertheless, scam scholars committed, asserting that the pyramids were worked by some unseen antiquated human progress that had lived in Antarctica 100,000 million years prior. They say that Antarctica was at the equator at that point, so day-to-day environments were more passable. Nonetheless, they added that the public authority is concealing data and has even obstructed photos of the pyramids on Google Earth. Researchers counter that the alleged pyramids are either Horn or Nunatak mountains. A horn is framed after disintegration washes down the sides of a mountain, causing it to seem like a pyramid. Nunataks are a class of mountain that are tall to the point that they transcend the permafrost covering Antarctica. As indicated by researchers, the alleged pyramids couldn't have been worked by an old progress since Antarctica was really at the South Pole 100 million years prior. The old civilization part couldn't be valid, either, on the grounds that the most punctual human species seemed 2 million years ago. As an outcome, the supposed pyramids might have just been worked by dinosaurs. That is, in the event that they are really pyramids. In any case, there is no proof that dinosaurs fabricated pyramids. All things considered. There is a fear-inspired notion that the Nazis have a mysterious base in Antarctica. This thought started after scam scholars found that the Nazis had dispatched a campaign to Antarctica in 1938, which probably comprised of a few military and logical ships. While there, the Nazis apparently found a few underground buckles and streams and later changed over the biggest surrender to a mysterious city where they resided with the Illuminati. Some connivance scholars conjecture that Hitler escaped to this mysterious base subsequent to losing the war. Believers likewise guarantee that the Nazis by one way or another figured out how to lay their hands on outsider innovation at the mysterious base. They abused this to construct the weapons they tried at the more modest caves. In truth, the Nazis don't have a mysterious base in Antarctica. There is no proof that they made weapons with outsider innovation or tried any weapon in Antarctica, all things considered. Also, the Nazis just sent one boat to the area around 1938 looking for new whale chasing grounds. They deserted the endeavor after World War II broke out. Some intrigue scholars guarantee that the mythical Atlantis is under Antarctica. Strangely, the thought commenced during the 1950s after Professor Charles Hapgood, a student of history, proposed that Antarctica was home to some unseen antiquated civilization. Hapgood's conviction relied on the hypothesis that Antarctica was not covered with ice 11,600 years prior. Scam scholars guaranteed that Hapgood was correct. In any case, they added that the civilization was really Atlantis, which stays canvassed in ice today. In 1995, Graham Hancock confirmed in his examination, Fingerprints of the Gods, that individuals of Atlantis had moved from Antarctica to establish the Aztec, Mayan, and Egyptian realms. Researchers have uncovered the presence of unusual, entirely rectangular ice sheets in Antarctica. They are frequently immense and are once in a while noticeable from space. The rectangular ice sheets look more man-made than normal. It is as though they were flawlessly cut out of a bigger ice sheet. That is valid. Then again, actually they were truly natural. Scientists call them even icy masses. They are normally shaped when a piece of an ice shelf severs from a bigger one. Nonetheless, trick scholars don't accept this. They say that the chunks of ice were either made by people or aliens. Some of them likewise recommend that it very well may be a mysterious government office. Connivance scholars pivot their contentions on the way that ideal shapes infrequently exist in nature, which is valid. Notwithstanding, researchers have brought up that few out of every corner of the chunk of ice is generally perfect. The band seats on. Some intrigue scholars called outsider trackers guarantee to have found proof of an outsider UFO. The crash arrived in Antarctica. The trackers arrived at this determination in the wake of examining a dubious path, which they found with Google Earth, on the landmass surface. The path begins from what has all the earmarks of being the fallen pinnacle of a mountain. This recommends that the UFO hit the top as it crash-landed. In any case, geologists disagree. They demand that the path was brought about by a torrential slide. In January 2019, it was accounted for that researchers from NASA and the German Aerospace Center had found a hole profound under the permafrost of Antarctica. Although it was as of later revealed, the pit was first found during an examination of satellite pictures of Antarctica in 2006. Researchers think the pit was framed by one of the space rocks that hit the Earth a long period of time back and caused the elimination of the dinosaurs. However, connivance scholars don't think so. They have proposed that the cavity is essential for the mysterious Nazi base that we referenced before. Others accept that the pit was found during a U.S. Navy activity to discover the passageway into the Earth. They think the pit is the passageway. In March 2018, a favorable to fear-inspired notion YouTube channel asserted that Google knows a few insider facts about Antarctica. Furthermore, it appears as though Google is doing everything it can to conceal that data from us. Nonetheless, a defiant Google worker is apparently attempting to uncover the trick to us. The moderator of the YouTube channel said that a red git shows up at whatever point he floats over an area in Antarctica, however just when he has empowered the climate highlight on Google Earth. The intrigue scholar accepts that this happens on the grounds that an unidentified Google worker needs us to see whatever is covered up there. The moderator proposed that it very well may be a UFO base, some mysterious fortune, or a glitch in Google Earth. There are two pits along the shoreline of Antarctica. Both dive deep beneath the surface into the permafrost as though something had delved its way in. Trick scholars have committed to recommend that the pits are the doorways to a mysterious government office, an outsider base, or the mysterious Nazi base referenced earlier. Scott Waring, a UFO intrigue scholar, said that the cavities were framed by a UFO covered in the permafrost. He asserted that he recognized the UFO in the first picture he saw on Google Earth. Nonetheless, he clarified that the UFO is not, at this point, noticeable on the grounds that Google altered the first picture. There is an abnormal fear-inspired notion that the entire of Antarctica and the South Pole don't exist. This conviction is generally regular among level earthers who guarantee that our planet is level. Level earthers accept that the North Pole is at the focal point of the world while the South Pole encompasses the Earth. According to level earthers, Antarctica is really a thick divide around 30 to 60 meters, 100 to 200 feet, high that encompasses our planet. The divider prevents everything from falling over the edge of the Earth. Level earthers say we can't affirm the presence of the divider since world governments and the United Nations have exacting no-fly and no-snail zones around Antarctica. Conspiracy scholars accept that the British Captain Cook is one of only a handful of few people to have at any point seen the divider separated from government specialists. As far as anyone knows, Captain Cook announced seeing the colossal divider during the 3 journeys he made to Antarctica. The divider covered the whole coastline, and he was unable to land any place in light of the fact that it was simply too tall to even think about climbing. Another paranoid idea including the Nazis attests that they shrouded UFOs someplace in Antarctica. The Nazi UFOs have even been connected to the alleged pyramids referenced earlier. Believers demand that the Nazis worked a mysterious UFO in the Antarctic during World War II. US and British powers more than once took a stab at annihilating the base during the conflict, yet were fruitless. They just figured out how to annihilate it subsequent to dropping a nuclear bomb on the base in 1958. Trick scholars guarantee that the Nazis obliterated a US plane during this operation. This thought is viewed as bogus in light of the fact that the Nazis never had a base or any military premium in Antarctica. As referenced before, they just went to Antarctica with one boat to discover new whaling grounds. They needed more supplies to construct an underground base. 10. The supposed activity to oust the Nazis from the mysterious UFO base was really a military preparing to recreate the intrusion of the frigid cold Soviet Union. This elaborate 13 boats, 33 planes, and 4,700 warriors. The Nazis didn't shoot a plane down during the preparation, either, as there were no Nazis. Lastly, the nuclear bomb probably used to annihilate the UFO base was really exploded 2,400 kilometers, 1,500 miles, off the shore of Antarctica. By and by, intrigue scholars demand that the Nazis had UFOs wrapped someplace up Antarctica and surprisingly utilized the innovation to make outsider weapons, which were then covered up in Antarctica, South America, and the Arctic.